Hi, Achim here, and this is the final part of the Thestis story. And yeah, I'm back in Munich, and I did it, and I'll show you. I was struggling a little bit on how to edit this together and how to really present that. So I'll show you um, basically what I filmed during my stay there, and a little bit in a logic sequence, and then I'll get back to you with a little bit more than what you see in the video, because there, yeah, something happened during this expedition that was completely unexpected, and makes this way more interesting than I ever thought it could be. And I had a bit of a rough time probably filming that, so I'll tell you about it after the picture material, the video material that I made for you, and that's what we're gonna watch now to get you up to date. Here we go. Welcome to the last part of the search for the Thestis. It's been a while, I know. I explained that in the last video. There was a lot of things that didn't work the way I wanted them to work, and finally we're here. And actually the trouble continued. It was a really long and bad drive. We had to upgrade the boat a little bit. They stole our propellers here in the harbor, which cost us another day and considerable amount of money replacing these, especially on the island. They were not available, etc, etc, etc. Nevertheless, we're finally ready. As you can see in the background, the weather looks pretty good. The last 2 days it's been pretty shitty, and so I will run you through the final steps of this project. I'll probably explain a little bit about the setup of the rebreather, because there was a lot of questions also in the last project why I didn't dive a rebreather, though this time I actually do. It's deeper than the last one. And then I explain a little bit how I do the dive, or how I'm planning to do the dive. I'll again try to take you with me on the dive. I'll see how that goes, because I had to reinvent the camera system a little bit, because the classical GoPro housing, so to speak, is not really working very well beyond 100 meters. And I crushed quite a few of these, so I came up with another solution, and then we'll see how the results go. So keep your fingers crossed and enjoy the last part of this adventure. Hey gentlemen, so here we are. As you can see, there's no land to be seen anymore. Actually, back there it's pretty foggy today, because we had pretty bad weather last night, so it's really damp. Would be Pianosa. If you look a bit further to, I'm not sure if you can see that on the video. Around here is Monte Cristo, and over there, oops, sorry, is Pianosa. So we upgraded to a little bit bigger boat this time, because we are so far offshore. Meet my lovely captain, who doesn't want to be on the camera, but it's my wife. And yeah, I get in the water now and take you guys on the first dive on the Thestis. Wish me luck, cross your fingers. I see you in approximately 150 minutes. So here we go. I spared you the descent along the line. That's completely interesting. So I'm on the bottom here now. Depth is, yeah, as I said, around 108 meters. And yeah, visibility is better on the video than it is in reality. And yeah, that's just mud and sand and whatever. And I'm trying to find the remains here. Just the first thing I did when I came down, I was shooting up the downline, and on the weight from the downline, so to speak, so the boat knows that I'm on the wreck. and there's a couple of yeah, there you can actually see that I found a porthole, and I was actually hoping that it's better to be seen on the video because I'm directly at the keel of the boat, so there's nothing left except the center part, the keel, and a couple of ribs, so to speak. It's a bit like a skeleton, and I was just going along that keel. So yeah, there's a porthole, and yeah, I cut my finger actually on a piece of glass there. Um, and yeah, the camera's mounted inside of a small light that's attached to my mask, and yeah, there you can see the keel, and yeah, you can see absolute pitch black. And I continue to search around there. That actually took my goodie bag out there and started to um, check this porthole, and yeah, that took a moment, and then I continued to look around. The problem is that you really only see a small portion um, of your surroundings every time, and obviously the bottom time is relatively short. So that's along the keel anymore. And actually, you just saw something there. I don't know if you saw it, but I missed it obviously while I was swimming over it. And yeah, I saw that the keel was aiming there, and I'm trying to go back and look around and fan a little bit through the sand to see if there's anything of interest, because it looks like there's just nothing there. And yeah, always using this keel as a kind of orientation as well. Not because I need orientation to go back to a line or anything, because I'm doing an open blue water ascent, but to orient myself on this little piece of wreckage on the ocean floor. Because if you lose that, or if you get it out of sight, you're more or less gone. So what I found there was like some canvas, but it was stuck to something. I couldn't get it loose, so I was trying to pull on it. I don't know if that was what that actually was, but yeah, I couldn't get it loose, and it was just like a stripe of canvas. And yeah, no, actually am on one of those ribs, and that's a ballast stone. And yeah, now I've finally saw it. I passed that before, and I don't know if you can already see what it is. And that moment I realized what it is, and I got really excited, and I tried to get it out of the sand, but it was a little stubborn, so I was stuck somewhere. So I actually had to wiggle it free and pull and push a little bit. But yeah, I finally managed to get it out, and it is a small bell. And yeah, that was basically for me, that was birthday, Christmas, and Easter all at the same moment. I was so happy and so excited. I found a couple of bells over my diving period, but or my diving career, but I never managed to keep one. Um, so yeah, and as you can already see there on the video, it has the name of the ship in it, and it's actually in pretty good shape, probably because it was completely. All right, back out of the water. I had a bit of a leaky dry suit, so that's why I'm sitting inside. Actually got pretty cold in the end, and yeah, I'm not sure what will be visible on the underwater video, but I wanted to show you the first results. And the visibility was pretty horrible, and there was basically the wreck burned, as we know, the ship burned, and I think it burned down right to the waterline. And so what's left is basically the keel. At least that's my interpretation of what I've seen, and a couple of ribs, so to speak. So what's sitting there on the bottom is more a skeleton of a ship, or the remains of a skeleton. And so there was nothing to be seen, and the only thing I did in the short amount of time I had regarding bottom time was fanning along this keel, these wooden remains, and I was pretty lucky in my opinion. And yeah, we'll see how much is visible on that video, but yeah, here's what I found. So the first thing I found is a porthole, and still making a mess inside here. The interesting thing here is that first of all there's a lot of soot, and you can actually see that it melted down. So what you see here is not brute force of metal getting bent or something. This is heat. So this actually melted off, and I would assume as it was mounted to a wooden wall, the glass cracked probably due to the heat, and at a certain point the wall or whatever collapsed, and it got in the water, which then cooled it down and stopped the process. But that frames has severe heat damage, which is a good indication for what we, or good proof for what we already knew. I haven't cleaned it yet, obviously it's still wet as I took it out of the water half an hour ago, but as far as I could say right now, there's no markings or anything on it, and so yeah, but it's a nice find. But now comes the absolute coolest thing, and I consider myself that this is a mixture between birthday and Christmas. And when I saw it, I actually couldn't believe it. I already scrubbed that a little bit with a brush, but yeah, as you can see, it's a bell, and it says Thestis 1898. So yeah, I actually found a couple of bells over the years. I've never been able to keep one, and beside all discussions if you should take stuff from wrecks or not or whatever, I mean, for me as this is the ultimate prize. And yeah, I'll clean this properly once at home, and I just scrubbed basically off the encrustation. There was not that much. This was obviously exposed a little bit longer. She was completely in the sand or in the mud, which obviously preserved her pretty well. As I said, I just scrubbed off a little bit of it already underwater, and then as soon as I got the surface was my highest priority before I got out of my leaky dry suit. And yeah, I'll show you more of that as soon as I'm back home. But yeah, for me that means it's yeah, it's the wreck I've been looking for. So I'm super happy. Everything went well. Dive went well, and I'll yeah, get warm again. We drive back, and then I'll give you a full review in a thumbs up as soon as I'm back in Munich. Thank you. All right, so I hope you enjoyed what you saw, and it gave you a little bit of an idea how this went. So there was a lot of stuff going wrong. I think I mentioned it in one of the clips. We had an engine issue with the boat right before we left Germany. Then they stole our propellers in the harbor, so I had to go and find new propellers, which on the island wasn't so easy. And in the end, actually, we had an issue with the second engine. So it's also a good example of why I actually set up this GoFundMe thing, because it's the money just disappears. It's like you throw it in a giant hole. Just these propellers were like 1,800 euros just add on top like nothing. And there was no alternative except from just yeah, okay, it doesn't work anymore, we can't go out. So I said in the beginning there was something that I had an issue filming, and I didn't really know how to present it. And while I was in Italy, I wasn't exactly sure how to deal with it at all. So here's what happened. After the dive that you saw, I decided I want to do a second dive. So I told you in the last video that I actually bought an ROV, and my hope, to be completely honest with you, was to do these dives first with an ROV, and maybe don't even dive myself. So it was pretty clear to me that there's not that much left of the wreck, and I am not that much into this really deep stuff anymore, which is for sure a bit of a matter of age and risk. And yeah, I mean, I did the dive, no problems at all, but considering the amount of money, effort, and the actual time that I could spend on the bottom compared to being on the boat and using an ROV and probably explore that wreck for 2 hours and look around and here a little bit and there a little bit, especially as the ROV has control arms, probably would have made things easier and led to another output, or to more output, or to better output, whatever. So that ROV didn't arrive in time. So I had to go there and do it myself. And after that first dive, where I found the porthole and where I found the bell, I was super satisfied. But at the same time, I had the feeling that there could be more. And especially, I told you, I was basically, I mean, not doing this expedition for the gold, but obviously I wanted to know if there's something of value left. And so I decided I'd do a second dive. So then finding gas on the island and preparing another one was a pretty big struggle, but I managed to do that, and I did a second dive. And on that second dive, I actually had a metal detector with me, and started to look around there in the sand around this center keel beam, whatever you want to call it. And I found two things. And so I found quite a bit of trash, some steel nails and stuff like that, but nothing really important. I found parts of a second porthole, which I actually didn't even bother to bring. But I found two pretty interesting things. So one was a bone. And my initial idea was like, yeah, it's from an animal. Maybe he had a pig in the fridge or something like that. So I know there was no fridge, but the thinking, okay? Or an animal, I mean, from a dolphin, from a whale, I don't know. I was just like, yeah, it's a bone. And I actually tossed it away. And then I thought a little bit about it. I was like, yeah, a bone on the wreck. And I got back and took it. And to investigate a little bit more back on the surface. And then I found this. I'm not sure if the camera, yeah, no, it's in focus. So it's completely cleaned now, and it's a silver ring with a stone, and it's definitely from a woman. And that's when I started to think, like, why was there a ring from a woman on that ship? Was that part of his treasure, or was it from somebody, or was it something that he brought along with him? I don't know, some jewelry from his mother, like that he had, that something that had sentimental value for him or whatever. And so then this bone, And so my wife has a little bit of a medical background, and when I got back to the surface and I showed her the bone, she was like, "That's human. That's a shin bone of a human." And I was like, not good. So I went to a doctor on the island and showed it to him, and he immediately said, "Yeah, it's a shin. It's the bone of the shin bone, and it's definitely from a human." So I was thinking back and forth a little bit, what to do now, and so I gave it to this doctor, and he said he knows somebody else, and they can do a little bit more testing, etc., etc., etc. So this took a couple of days, and then they got back to me, and they said, "Yeah, it's a human shin bone. It's probably very old, and it's from a female." So, there I was. I mean, first of all, it brings the story to a complete new level. It makes it a little bit more in a becomes a bit more of a thriller. And what to do with that bone? So in the end, to cut the story short, the bone went back to the wreck. I simply didn't know what to do with it. I mean, you're not taking a human bone and throw it in the trash or something like that. You cannot like go to the beach and bury it. I didn't want to leave it with that doctor to, I don't know, they'd probably throw it away as well. So I decided probably there's more human remains from that person there. So I actually went out there again and brought it back to the wreck. You can let me know in the comments what you think about that. But for me, that was the most... It was the decision that felt right, so to speak. And the one was that had most respect for that person. So that wreck is her grave. So I brought that bone back. I don't know. I've seen a lot of dead bodies. I've seen a lot of bones during my diving career, but this one got me kind of. Probably because I was so deeply involved in that story by all the research, and then also having contact with these relatives, basically from Bjarne, and then also this ring. The conclusion is obviously that there was a woman on board of that ship when it sank. It was pretty interesting because I then obviously talked to the people around me, to my close ones. So my wife immediately was, yeah, that was probably a love story, and that woman didn't make it off that burning ship, and he probably got hurt trying to save her, and that's why he then ended up in this lifeboat, also very badly injured, and passed away. I talked to a friend of mine who's a lawyer, and he was like, yeah, he had this woman on board, and he wanted to get rid of her, and he killed her, and then tried to hide that by burning the ship down. So everybody starts to create a story based on experience or fantasy or whatever, and we will never know. I mean, it's how do you figure out? But in fact, it puts a complete new chapter on this story of Bjarne and his travels, and the loss of the Thestis, and him passing away on the island of Pianosa. And to a certain point, it's very unsatisfying because it leaves this open end. On the other hand, it leaves all of us the opportunity to create the end we want to see in our minds. And on the other hand, it is an unsolved mystery. So yeah, I really wanted to share that with you. Unfortunately, the family of Bjarne never came back to me, because I was thinking of giving at least that ring to them. But yeah, after I sent them the logbook, they never contacted me again. So I'll put that in my collection and hopefully be able to give it a little bit of value in the meaning of worshipping the story and also that person that we don't know anything about. And yeah, again, thank you very much for joining me on this project and on this conclusion. And I'm super keen on hearing your thoughts. And yeah, I'll relatively soon start something else, which I'll share again, and would be happy to see you there again. Other than that, take care, all of you, and I'll see you in the next video, which now will be again in a week. So I know it was 3 weeks since I published the last one, but yeah, as I was on this project, I didn't really had the time and the opportunity to produce anything else. All right, take care, everybody.